Hello everybody and welcome back to Madden 2002 on the channel with the Buffalo Bills franchise mode. And we are getting back in now the fourth episode of this. We're already picking up a little bit of speed here. And we are getting on to our third, regular season video where, of course, we're going through games. And today we have two other heavy-hitting teams in the New York Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, maybe a little bit lesser. We're starting to get a little bit easier teams here because remember we had the Steelers at the end of last video. And the Steelers have been a team that have been competitive but have kind of struggled here. Remember they went 9-7 and missed the playoffs entering into the season. But the Jets and the Jaguars are a little bit of a different story, right? Where the Jags, or rather the Jets, who we were playing today, have been a decent squad in the late 90s. They've had a 500 or better season since, I believe, 97, but they've missed the playoffs the last two seasons. So they're trying to get back there now. They have a lot of fun pieces on their team that we'll, of course, be looking at and talking about. A lot of fun young pieces on their team, including an unnamed running back, which I'm pretty sure is Lamont Jordan. The college matches up, but he's listed as 35 in this game for some reason, even though he never wore 35. I think he only wore 32 and 34. But I believe it is Lamont Jordan, so we're going to call him out because there's some weird changes here. And I wrote down the stats for Vinny Testaverde because he's listed as the top quarterback on the Jets depth chart, and he has played substantial snaps this season, but I think Chad Pennington is the starter heading into this game. Testaverde does not have an injury. They are just rocking with Chad Pennington. So on first and 10 here, Pennington's going to hand this one off to the unnamed running back here, who we're going to call Lamont Jordan, and he shakes off a tackle and is finally going to get brought down, I believe, by our safety, Henry Jones. So that is going to be a big pickup for him, and he's had a decent start to the year so far. He's got over 178 yards and a touchdown on the season, and he's averaging almost 5 yards a carry, just a little over 4.5. And so the rushing attack for the Jets has been a little bit potent there, but the offense does stall out here on third down. So on 4th and 9, a long field goal attempt is made, and it is good. So the Jets will still take an early 3-0 lead over your Buffalo Bills after a very long 50-yard field goal. And again, I might need to go in and tweak. I've already recorded pretty much most of the season, but for year 2, I might need to tweak the slider for field goals. But now Sammy Morris is making the Jets defense pay for it as he gets into open space here, and he's across the 20-yard line, well inside the red zone, and a face mask from Aaron Glenn, of all people, the current Jets head coach. In real life, Aaron Glenn gets a little bit too much of the face mask of Sammy Morris, and that will add at least a couple more yards at the end of the play, give us half the distance on a 50-yard pickup from Morris's legs. You want to talk about a running back who's having a great season. He has been one of the MVPs for this Bills offense, but Dilfer's going to cap off this drive here with a catch in the end zone and gets another receiving touchdown, this time to Peerless Price, and I believe that's his first of the season. He's had 8 catches for 103 yards so far this season, but his 9th one is going to be a touchdown. So Peerless Price finally getting on the board here, and Trent Dilfer, that's only his 4th receiving touchdown that he's thrown all season long. So he's thrown for a good bit of yardage, and the completion percentage is starting to tick up a little bit towards the mid-50s, but still, just not really finding the end zone with these receivers as much, which is something we really need. So on a third down, Pennington's going to hand this one off to Curtis Martin, and Curtis Martin cannot find enough open space to get to the first down, so that's going to be another big defensive stop for our defense, but the first quarter is going to come to a close, and our touchdown is going to be the difference maker here as we're up 7-3, but the Jets, with a field goal opportunity now, opening up the second quarter, and they, of course, nail it through, so we are back to within just a 1-point game, or rather, it is now a 1-point game. 7-6 with the Jets. So fast forward to a 3rd and inches now for the Jets, and they're going to get a huge pickup on the ground, and that's Lavernius Coles, guys. That's Lavernius Coles on a run play here, lining up at running back and taking this handoff, getting all the way into the end zone. So Lavernius Coles is listed pretty far down on the depth chart here. I kind of mentioned with the Steelers how this Madden is a little bit harsh on the young guys like Plexico Burress. Well, it's the same thing with the Jets here. Lavernius Coles is a 60 overall, and we know Lavernius Coles would be a pretty decent receiver for the Jets through the 2000s, but in this game, he gives the Jets a huge boost on offense, a massive rushing touchdown, and now the Jets are going to take a 6-point lead over the Bills here after just one half of play. Not much else would happen offensively in the first half, but now we are answering back here a little bit as Dilfer manages to find, I believe, McDaniel. I think it's an 86. Yeah, it's McDaniel, who continues to be one of our most potent and productive receivers through the air. Not Eric Moulds and not Peerless Price, but we'll take it as McDaniel continues to help out here. But Dilfer on the run here. He's finally going to get sacked and brought down. He's He's trying to evade the pressure as best as he can, but there's not really anywhere to go. And he's been trying to avoid the pressure and move around the pocket. Protecting Dilfer has been something that we've struggled with, especially in the last video. We struggled with it a lot. So this drive is going to end up in a field goal attempt because of that. But Christie's able to nail a 53-yard. That's probably the only reason why I want to adjust the slider, because a 72 overall kicker should not be nailing 50-plus yards, especially in this era. So the change will be made eventually. Just trust. But Chad Pennington finally makes a huge boneheaded mistake here. It's going to be an interception heading the other way. And that interception is at the hands of Nate Clements. It looks like he stepped out of bounds, too. So I don't know if that's totally legal, but I'm not going to raise any questions if you guys won't. So, but Nate Clements here, the young rookie here, gets himself not just an interception, but a pick six, and that's going to help give us a 1-point lead over the Jets once again. Or rather, again, I forget the field goal, because, again, it doesn't show the scoreboard. I've told you guys before, it screws me up. I have to, mentally keep track of the score in my head as we go, and I forget some scoring plays as I go along with the recording, but we are leading. I know we're in a good spot here. So, but 1st and 10 for the Bills now after a nice pickup on the ground. And Dilfer's going to get gobbled up by the pressure, and again, I just talked about it. We have an issue protecting Dilfer. It's been an ongoing problem in these first couple weeks of the season, and now things are getting a little bit dangerous now as we're turning the football over. So the Jets with a golden opportunity. Pennington back to pass. He's going to float this ball out there. Huge prayer for ball. It's caught. It's in the end zone for a touchdown, and the Jets are going to answer back with a huge boost on offense as Pennington just completely waylays that ball, man. Just sends it all the way out there, and that's going to be Wayne Schrebet, I think, or Shrebe. I don't know. I don't know the correct pronunciation, but he's been another very productive part of this Jets offense with 8 receptions and over 100 yards, and now he has a touchdown on the season. But third quarter comes to a close. We are down by 3 with that Jets touchdown, and we need some momentum heading our way. But the Jets back on offense, but that ball's going to sail out of the back of the end zone, and Pennington's been trying to hit the rookie Santana Moss all game long, and it just has not been working between the two of them. It just cannot lock up. 10-83, just not on the same page in this game. But I'll tell you who is, man. Hall, their kicker. He is just absolutely nailing these field goals. Every kick is a new record. See, 55-yarder. What are we doing? What am I doing? It's my fault. So the Jets are going to extend here back to a 6-point lead. 23-17. But now, Bills here, 3rd and 10. Dilfer takes a high snap, pump fakes, takes a little bit too long, hesitates on his decision, probably should just let that one go, but instead he's going to take a sack instead, and it's just been punishment for Dilfer all game. So we're going to have to punt it back to the Jets, and the Jets now in kill clock mode, but on 3rd and 2, that play is completely blown up as we had pressure in the backfield almost immediately. We had Keith Newman in the backfield almost instantaneously, and Pennington ends up hitting the ground. So that's going to give us the football back with an opportunity. A minute and a half left to go, but on 3rd and 8 already again, Dilfer running from pressure, steps up in the pocket, and is hit as he throws, and it's a wobbler. He gets absolutely crumbled from behind. Look at that, just a humongous hit from behind. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'd be shocked if Dilfer didn't get back up after that. And his health might be something that we need to put a pin in because we're just not really protecting him. So 4th and 8, desperation time, down to our last opportunities really here. And Dilfer finds an open target, and it's Eric Moulds who's going to make the catch, but he's well shy of the first down marker. And that's going to be another turnover on downs, and the Bills are going to be able to take the ball here and kill the clock. And so we lose another close one here. This is another competitive game. This one gives kind of more mirrored images closer to the Saints game, I feel, even though there wasn't much of a blown lead in this one. This is a game that we just competed in, but we just ended up on the losing side. And these big divisional games, these are games that we have to figure out how to win. These are games that we have to figure out how to be on the winning side of. But regardless, looking at the rosters, as you guys saw the stats before the game even started, the Jets clearly on paper match up as the much better team than we do. So just competing in this game, I think, is kind of a moral victory. But, you know, as you get further along in the year and the losses start to stack up, do you even really care about the moral victories at a certain point? Probably not. So Dilfer had a somewhat decent game despite all the pressure that he was under. He didn't turn the ball over, so that's something I will note. And 198 yards is nothing to scoff at. Sammy Morris definitely had some good contributions in the beginning of the game, but kind of didn't really feel his presence in the latter half of the game, which would have been very helpful offensively. So that's how that one's going to end. And now we are looking straight on ahead to Jacksonville as we take to the road once again to play still a good Jaguars team. As you see, the numbers are very favorable for the Jaguars entering into this game, despite the fact that the Jaguars are coming off of a pretty disappointing season in 2000, where they only went 7-9 and missed the playoffs. So, and that of course comes after their amazing playoff runs that they had in the late 90s. Obviously, the big victory over the Dolphins, sending Dan Marino to retirement and losing in the AFC Championship game. But the Jaguars already, in just the handful of seasons that they have been a part of the league, they've already been a pretty big force. It's something that their counterparts in the Panthers can't really say all that much. But that will change for them in the near future, I'm sure. But either way, the Jaguars come into this one as still matching up as a much better team than we do. And with the losses starting to pile up, we are desperately looking to get back into the win column here. You want to win at least a couple in the beginning of the season before the season completely just spirals out of control. I don't want to be at the midway point of the season at like 1-6, like you know what I mean, or 1-7. We need to at least win a couple games before we get to that like week 8 benchmark, week 9 benchmark, and that's really what I'm hoping for, really what I'm looking for here. So. Need some bigger performances from our big names that we were looking at here, but now it's already 3rd and 8 early into this game. We're going to hand this off to Sammy Morris, or actually it's not Sammy Morris, it's going to be Bryson, our third string running back, and he's getting to the outside edge, and he's picking up yards with his feet. He's making things happen on the ground, and yeah, I can imagine probably pretty frustrated because that was a huge blown up play here on defense. The Jags completely had us dead to rights in our own end, and now the field is completely flipped, and we have a scoring opportunity, but it's already 3rd and 16, moving the wrong direction here as we continue to struggle to protect Dilfer, and there you see just prime example, man, just cannot seem to get any solid production on the offensive line. The offensive line is a pretty bad unit. It's got to be one of the worst units in the league, so we can't be too shocked when they give up sacks like this, but still, it's a rough place to be in. You got to protect the quarterback at least a little bit. Give yourself a chance to score, but with Christie's leg, we should have a chance to still get some points, and we do. So taking a 3-0 lead here after our drive was just about dead to rights, Bryson gives us a huge lease on life, and then our O-line completely squanders any opportunity. So we are back on offense, so across midfield on our first 10. Now we have Sammy Morris back on the ground, and he's getting to the outside edge, unable to break that first tackle and get some more yards, but still a nice pickup, and that'll give us a first down at the very least. So with Morris coming into this game averaging over 7 yards a carry, that is brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant. We love that. So 1st and 10, once again, we're going to go back on the ground game with Morris because, hey, man, if it ain't broke, do not fix it. He stumbles off the first tackle but gets brought down by the second tackler, but, hey, not before he picks up another first down. So the Bills' rushing attack is starting to work a little bit more in our favor here in Jacksonville. It wasn't really all that potent against the Jets in the in-state rivalry here with a divisional opponent, but against the Jags, it is working a little bit here. So 1st and 10, we're going to hand this one off to Morris. Once again, still not tired, still on the field. Don't have to go to Travis Henry or Sean Bryson here. We're still just relying on Sammy Morris to stay in this game here. And he's got over 500 yards entering into this game. He's been a very, very efficient part of the offense, one of the few things that has worked. And now Dilfer says, hey, anything you could do, I can do. Well, not really, but he can at least do a quarterback sneak. He's not afraid of the contact. He's been taking a lot of it in the first half of the season, so he's just going to, he says, hey, whatever, coach, I'm going to go in, I'll take it. So we get a touchdown here, and that's going to send us up 10-0 over the Jags after just 1 quarter of play. So we haven't seen much of Jacksonville's offense, and now pressure in immediately. Newman was inside, but Fred Taylor's speed able to get him around, and Jones is going to be able to knock down Fred Taylor along the sideline, but not before he picks up a humongous gain. And again, we had Newman in there almost immediately, our outside linebacker, Kevin Newman. He was in there almost immediately, but just did not work. So, and again, Newman is in there almost immediately, but this time he's going to get shaken off. But fortunately, we have a little bit of size on the D-line here with Eric Flowers able to knock down Fred Taylor before he can turn that into a more disastrous gain on the ground on 3rd down. So 4th and 3, the Jags get stopped, and they're going to have to rely on their special teams for a change, not just us, and the kick is up, and it is good. So Jacksonville finally does answer back a little bit here, get some points on the board, and it is now back to a 7-point game. Hopefully we can do something with the ball before the half is over, but Jacksonville back on offense, just 2.5 minutes left to operate. Burnell back to pass here, sends one out towards the sideline. That pass is going to be caught by Jimmy Smith, famed Jaguars receiver here in these early days, Jimmy Smith, who's got over 260 yards entering into this game and a couple touchdowns, but not a touchdown on this play, but another huge pickup through the air for Smith. So we got to be careful of him because he's going to be a big part of this Jacksonville offense, we already know. But 3rd and 10 now for the Jaguars. Burnell back to pass again, very clean pocket. Pressure gets in his face at the last second, but he does find an open target. I think it's Smith again who had to run back and make that catch on 3rd and 10, but I think he might have been short. I think he might have been tackled short. And yeah, on 4th and 1, the Jags are just going to take the field goal. They're going to burn some clock off, or burn some time off the clock here and just take the points. And now it is going to be 10-6 with just a minute and change left to go in the first half. So our offense goes a little bit dormant here in the second quarter, and the Jaguars start to answer back themselves in the second quarter, but still we are managing managing a lead here, just a 4-point lead, but we are managing one. But in the third quarter, Jacksonville already on the attack again. Burnell finds an open target across the middle of the field, breaking a tackle and getting inside the 15-yard line is Jacksonville's offense, and we can't see exactly what receiver it is. Oh, there we go. Now we see what receiver it is, and it is Sean Dawkins for the Jaguars. Has a couple touchdowns in this game, in this season. But on 3rd and inches, again, Jacksonville trying to go for the short yardage gain, and it is Kevin Newman once again, baby, getting in quickly, penetrating the defensive line, and creating chaos in the backfield. So Jacksonville going to have to rely on special teams again, and now it's going to be 9-10. So we have still managed to maintain our lead despite the fact that our offense has gone completely silent in the last quarter and a half of play here. But our defense is really keeping us in this game, giving us a chance to win, which isn't something that we can say every single week. So Dilfer now trying to get something happening through the air, and it's McDaniel making the catch over to Jaguar defender, and he's even able to cut upfield and get another nice chunk of yardage. So that's going to be a first down and plenty more, as McDaniel continues to be our most productive receiver entering this game with 17 receptions already on the year and over 300 yards. But just the one touchdown we talked about in the last game, that Dilfer is just struggling to find his receivers in the end zone. We really need to see that start to uptick a little bit. That's part of the reason why he's here, dude. We got a receiver making over $7 million a year. He's got to find a way to get him the football. So, but Dilfer on this time does not find Eric Moulds, but instead finds Remersma, the tight end, and he's going to fumble trying to break a tackle. So Remersma here, a huge mistake. And Remersma's been very effective for us entering into this game. He's got, I think, over 10 receptions. No touchdowns or anything, but just 10 receptions for a tight end. You know, he's been a part of the offense, but he fumbles there. Huge mistake on a scoring opportunity. That might come back to bite us pretty hard as the third quarter comes to a close. Now Jacksonville heading the other way on in the fourth quarter, and a huge broken tackle, and now he's out in open space. I think it's the backup tight end. It's not Kyle Brady. I think it's their backup tight end, and he was able to create a lot of chaos on the ground after making that reception. Huge pickup for Jacksonville. So cut to a 2nd and 1 now. Short yard situation, and we know where they're going to go. It's Fred Taylor, but Fred Taylor now this time, Kevin Newman nowhere to be found as he gets to the outside edge, and Jones is going to bring him down, but not before he crosses the goal line and gets another touchdown, or actually gets the first touchdown for the Jaguars in this game, and now the lead has been flipped, but Jacksonville's going to go for 2 to try and make this one a little bit more manageable for them, a more manageable lead, that is, and it's Jones again who had the big pickup to start this drive. He gets a 2-point conversion, so now Jacksonville leading 17-10 over your Bills here, but we are back on offense on 3rd and 11 here. A little bit of protection up front. Dilfer able to find a check down across the middle of the field, and he cuts upfield, and that's going to be another first down. And that is one of our rookies here who's listed way further down on the depth chart, making that play. But now on 3rd and 4, coming out of the 2-minute warning, we're giving it off to Bryson again, who's stumbling off of some tackles here, and he's got room to go up north and south, but he just stumbles east and west, cannot get it. But we, of course, are gonna try and run for the 4th down conversion here, because time is of the essence. We are under 2 minutes now, 4th and 1. Got to get this conversion here to keep the drive alive and potentially tie the game. Dilfer back to pass, quick release, and he finds an open target. I believe it's Eric Moulds across the middle of the field here, and he's going to make that catch just shy of the goal line, and that's going to give us a new lease on life here. We have a breath of fresh air. 1st and goal. We're running back up to the line. It could be a spike from Dilfer, or he could just run the play. He's going to run it, and he takes a shot towards the end zone, and that pass is broken up here to Bryson. I think he had an opportunity. Maybe it was in and out of his hands. I'm not entirely sure. Good defense regardless, but 2nd and goal now for the Bills offense. Dilfer going to try and throw for it again, and wide open in the end zone is Peerless Price, and he's got himself the game-tying touchdown with just 1 minute and 23 seconds left to go in the game, and we are staying alive, man. A game that we have led for almost all of it. We find ourselves giving up another lead here and needing to fight to get it back, but this time we managed to successfully do it. So now 1st and 10 for the Jaguars. They've already worked it across midfield here. They're in field goal range. If they could just get another first down or so, and Fred Taylor, man, gets the catch, gets the pass from Mark Burnell, and he's able to get the first down for the Jaguars, and that should all just about do it, man. It should be about victory formation for the Jags. They're probably going to kill a little bit more time here, under 20 seconds. Going to hand off to the fullback, try and maybe set up the kick a little bit better here for Hollis. And now the Jags are going to kill this one down underneath 10 seconds. So we did everything that we could, man. Everything possibly that we could, but still, it all comes down to the leg of Hollis. If he can do this, he's been great all day. He's been money all day. Is he going to nail this one through? We'll see. 4 seconds left to go. The kick is up, and it is good. And Jacksonville, clock is at 000, and the Jaguars are going to hand us our 5th loss of the season, man. What a brutal way to lose this one. Another game that we were just very competitive in, and we even led for a majority of, but just could not hang on to the lead. I think our defense did just about everything that they needed to do to give our offense a chance to win this game. I don't think we made too many mistakes on offense either. It just was not as potent of a game as it really needed to be. Once again, I feel like we were really missing Sammy Morris in all aspects of this game. I think we saw him, in very limited doses. I think we really needed a little bit more from him, but of course, obviously Dilfer, just as a leader of this team at quarterback, it really just showing that he's maybe not able to get that done, but there's no real solution there. As now we are past our bye week and our the trade deadline, so Dilfer is the guy moving forward here, and this is a decent game for him. Look at that, 60% completion percentage is what I've been asking for, and even the touchdown, the yardage is a little bit low, but still gets the touchdown. But yeah, man, Sammy Moore's only 65 yards. Bryson was able to match his production, which should not be the case when you have a guy who's been playing as well as Sammy Morris has been playing. But I'm not going to be mad that we had two running backs with over 120 yards. You know what I mean? I'm not going to scoff at that. But that is how this video is going to end. We take two unfortunate losses here in two competitive games, but hopefully things change for us as we take our road trip from Jacksonville all the way to San Diego to play the Chargers. So I hope to see you guys all the way in sunny California when we play the Bolts, man. Go Bills.